Good morning to all of you. I welcome you to this session of programming in Python. This is a lab session today, our first lab session. So what all I'm going to do here is I'm going to install Python and I'm going to discuss the basics of Python, how to run programs in Python and how to declare variables or how to use variables, how to write programs. Okay. So let's start with the installation of Python. So obviously you understand that first we need to download Python. It is a free, open software, open source software. So you can just write here Python download here, right? So the first link that you get from python.org, you can download the latest version of Python. Okay, that would be Python 3.10.2. We saw yesterday also. Okay, latest version is Python 3.10.2. So that will just come up in front of us, right? Here is the latest version. You can just download this. Okay, you can just click on this and it will start downloading. Okay, it's downloaded here, right? I've already downloaded this, so I'll just open the installer file here. I'll just double click on it to start the Python installation. Here you can first thing that you need to do is to click on this add Python 3.10 path. This is important because after this Python would be available from anywhere, like anywhere whether you are in C drive, V drive, any folder, Python would be available. And install launcher for all users. This is also recommended. This is already ticked. Then you can go with the customize installation. And you should just check all these optional features, documentation, pip, ideally, and the rest of the features. Then click on next. Then make this click install for all users. And you can just change this path, make it a convenient path for you. Let this be the path where you install Python. C drive Python 310 is the folder where you are installing Python. Okay. Oh, there's some problem here. Okay, we need to give the password here, right? So the Python installation has started. Just takes less than a minute to install Python. And I was discussing with you that this is an open source software. That is, it is free to use. You don't need a license for this, right? So with that, free thing comes a thing that it can give you problems at time also. That is the problem with open source software. Okay. So the problems are rectified by the developers. There is a community, the Python Software Foundation, which takes care of, removing all the glitches from the versions of Python. So they keep on giving you new versions of Python over a period of time. So let's just wait for this setup to finish. Yeah, it is successful, right? So what we do here is click on start menu, look for the Python folder here. This is a Python 3.10 folder. From here, you pick up this ideally. This is the place where you can work and you can just pin it, right click on it and pin it to taskbar so that it is available to launch in a quick way. So then you click on this and you are ready to work with Python 3.10, right? You can just click on options to configure your ideally so that we can have a bigger font size, maybe let's say 18 would be good, or we can still go further so that it's clear to you people. Let's make it 20 here, right? Okay, and then we did discuss in our class that we can do certain things. So we can use the print statement. So this ideally is the place, where you work with your Python command. This is one of the places from where you can experiment with Python. You can run your commands, even you can run your programs. Okay. So what are the other ways of working, running your programs in Python? Okay, so there are many ways in which we can run our Python programs. One is like you can write something on the IDLE itself, where you can write some command and you can see the output. Like you can write like this also. You can assign some value to variables, and then you can use some operation here. If you just type C here, you will get the value. Even you can use a print statement here. Okay. Then the second way would be to write a program in IDLE, create a new program. Okay, so you can click on new, and here you can write, you can give a comment like this, say program to print average of two numbers, something like this, right? And then you can use the variables like this. There's no need to declare variables in Python, as you can see. So you can find the average, first you can find the sum, and then you can find the average like this, right? And then you can print the average. A simple program just for just to see how things go in Python. You're already aware of all these statements. You've worked with them in C++ and in C. So you just need to see how it works in Python. And then you save this. Okay. You can give it some name, say A3. And then when you run it, you see the average as 7.5. So this is your program. Okay, 7 plus 8, 15 by 2, average is 7.5. So this is the second way that you can run your program, that is at within the IDLE you can run your program, right? And you can also run your program using this, say import A3, right? So once import statements runs once in per session. So if you try it again, it won't give you anything. But the thing is that once imported, you have this PYC file created, right? The Python compiled file. So let's go to our file, click on open. Okay, you can see this PyCache folder. Here is where all your bytecode files are there. So if you look for this and you click on all files, you'll see that this is the file created today, a3.cpython-310. So this is this tells you that this is a PYC file. It's a compiled Python file, as you all can see here. Okay, you see here, this is a compiled Python file, PYC file, and the name comes along with the version of the Python that you are using, so that there is no confusion if you are using some older Python applications also, right? So this PYC file becomes active once you import a module once, right? If you make some changes in your module and you import the file, okay, then you have this. If I just make a change here, say I make a change here, this, and if I run it, it will be like this. Again, if I import it, it will run. Okay, so if you make any changes to your source, your import statement can run, but ideally it runs only once. Okay, and once you run it for the first time, the PYC file is there in the PyCache folder, right? This is the second way. Then third one is using the command. Go to command prompt in DOS. Okay, so here you can launch the IDLE by typing py. Okay, you can see the IDLE here. You can write something like this here. Okay, to exit IDLE, you can press on Control Z, right? You can also launch IDLE by writing Python, okay, and exit again by Control Z. This is the third way, okay, that is by invoking the IDLE on the command prompt. Then the fourth way is that you can execute your file from the command line itself. Like from here, you can just write py, okay, and then maybe we can run our this file a3.py. okay, so a3.py, you can see it's located in this path, in our current path. Can you see at top? Python 310 folder a3.py. So if I just write this complete path here, if I write like this, okay, then it will run that program a3.py. The same can be achieved by this Python like this. Okay, But otherwise, if you remember during our installation, we had activated, clicked on that add Python to path. If we have not done it, then we could not have been able to run like this. Okay, then we would have to go to this folder, that is Python 310, and we needed to run our programs from here. So just by adding Python to path, you can work with Python programs from anywhere, right? And let me just make some change to my this A3.py. Let me just add an input statement here, just to put a pause here. Okay, and just save it. You can run it also, right? And then the last way, I can go to window icons, right? I can go to my C drive, to this folder, and here you can locate this file A3. Just by double clicking on it, you can execute this Python file. Just double click on it, and you can just pick Python from here. Okay, and it will show you the same average 8.0, and this pause is there. It is waiting for an input from you, so that's why the pause. Otherwise, if we would not have added the input at the end, then the screen would not have been visible. It would have just flicked past us, right? Okay, so these are the 5 ways of running Python programs. Okay, so we just learned, how we can run our Python programs in different ways. Let's now go to some Python input and output statements. That's also very important. Python input and output statements. Okay, so the output statement, of course, is print. Okay, that is the built-in function print, and the input, statement is the input function, right? Like in C++, you had cout and cin. In C language, you had scanf and printer. In Python, you've got the print statement as for printing values, messages, and input statement to get input from the user. So for that, let's write one program to understand this. I'll just modify this program. So program to print average of 2 numbers. But here we'll pick up the numbers by using the input statement. Kindly pay attention to this, how we can write it. We can give an optional prompt here, some message here. Okay, so I'll give a message, enter a number, right? Like this. Okay, just copy it from here just to save time, right? So I've inputted the values of A and B. Remember, when we use input, it picks in versions 3 and onwards, right? It picks up this value always as a string. So even though you would input some integer or a float from keyboard, it would store it in A like as a string. We can see that. Okay, let's go step by step. To see the the type of a variable, you can use the type function. And type would work like this in your IDLE. So let me just go to your IDLE. If I write here A is equal to 78, and if I just write here type A, it will tell you that it is an integer. Okay. Similarly, if I write here B is equal to 9.8, and I write here type B, okay, it is float. If I write here C is equal to Ajay, right, and if I check here for the type of C, it is string. Okay, and maybe I can try something else also. Okay, so no, it's not allowing this. Let's just check how we can do it. Yeah, I think it should work. Okay, and if you just write its type, it will tell you that it's a Boolean type. So true and false are the Boolean types in Python, right? So the true with a capital T and false with a capital F, right? So, but the same thing here, if you write, it won't work. Okay, so let me just show you this thing. Okay, let it be like this. In your program, in your script, you need to use the print statement. At the IDLE, it can work directly, right? Remember this. So you need to print this. Similarly, you need to print this, right? And then you can just find the sum and then the average. Okay, it won't work, of course, because you're going to add 2 strings. So let's see. So enter a number, say 10 and 20. Okay, so both, you can see the type of both of them is string. Okay, A and B are both strings. So then S is equal to A plus B, and then it won't work because average, this sum will work. If you just print S here, this is okay. This would concatenate the two strings. Let's run it again. Okay, so you give 10 and 20, that's fine. 1020 is okay, but it cannot perform a division operation on a string. Okay, so what you can do here is you can, for this particular problem, you can cast it into an int. Okay, you can cast the value so that whatever value, the string value is there, it is converted into an int. So now we can run this program. Now everything works. You see now the type is int as converted by you, right? And then you can see the sum is S, you printed it, and average is 15, and we are waiting for wait here. So that ends your program, right? And then I did discuss in one of my previous sessions with you that instead of casting on your own, writing int, float, things like this, you can use the intelligent function eval here, right? You can use this function eval, right? Eval will automatically determine what type of variable you are using depending upon the value that you are inputting, right? So let's see that. Let's run it. Okay, so let me put a value 2.1 and a value 3.2. So automatically it will pick it up as float, and you can see the precision in your answer. Okay, so you can see the precision in your answer, right? And if you run it again, you run this program again, give some integers here, right? So again you can see the effect. And you can give strings also, but then this won't work. So I'll just put it like this. I'll just put a comment here. Okay. And if I run it, to give a string, you need to enter, the string in double, single, or triple quotes. Okay, like this. I've entered in single quotes. Then again, I can do something like this in double quotes, right? So you can see it is the class string. So eval function is taking care of that. So it's a good function. You can use it. All right, I hope this is clear, right? So next, let's discuss about how we can use some formatted output in Python, right? So let's suppose we have a variable with the value as 9876. Obviously, if we see its type, it is integer, right? So if I print this variable, you see the output like this. But I can use some formatting for this. Kindly note how we can do it. So I can write like this, okay. So what do you think will happen here? Here we are suggesting that to print A, we use a total width of 6, okay, a total width of 6, and D is for the integer part. Since Python has been written in C, okay, so the same D, F, C, S, the same thing is going to come here, right? Okay, so let's see the output and then we'll discuss. Okay, it's not working. Let's see what problem is there. I think we don't need a percentage here, I suppose. Yeah. Okay. So you see a total width of 6. So see the difference in this output. This is like this, and this is towards the right with 2 spaces here. Okay, there are 2 spaces here. So total 6 you said, it used 4 spaces. So 2 leading spaces are there. That means the numbers in Python are right justified. Okay, what is right justified? Right justified means that the number is inclined towards or indented towards the right, and there are leading spaces. There are leading spaces. This is right justified. So numbers are right justified, right? So let me just work with a few more formattings for you. Just pay attention. If it is 12D, you will see the leading spaces will increase. Now there are 8 leading spaces, right? And if it is like, if you want to fill the output, you can use a 0 flag here. You write 012D. So now the leading spaces will be filled by zeros. You can count the 8 zeros on screen, right? Usually positive numbers don't come with a leading sign. Negative numbers have a negative sign in front. Positive numbers don't come with a leading sign. So if you need to give a leading sign, you can use the plus flag here. Okay. So plus flag, okay. And if you use plus and 0 together, obviously you get a number like this. Okay. So what if we write like this? Like let's say we write here a 2D sort of thing here, right? What would be the output? What do you think? So we'll see that a normal output will come. Okay, so the Python interpreter is intelligent enough that you have missed this thing that the number requires 4 spaces. You just given a width of 2. So it will automatically provide the necessary space to print this number. Okay, I hope all the flags are clear, the 0, the plus, okay. And you see the number is by default right justified. Okay, you can change that justification. Okay, so let me just pick up this one. Okay, so if I use this sign here, okay, this is right justified, and if I use a less than sign, then it becomes left justified. Okay, by default the output is right justified. If you want to make it left justified, use this less than sign here, right? This is another flag that you can try. All right, let's now work with the, say, some floating values. Say this is a number B, so we can print it using a formatted output like this. Like this, okay. So I have a number B as 345.78987. If I want to print it in this format, 11.4F, okay. So what do you think would be the output? So this 11.4F means that a total width of 11, 4 characters after the decimal, 1 space is taken up by the decimal itself. So 6 characters on the left of the decimal. So let's see the output. Okay. So you can see here that, okay, we just pick up the wrong number. We won't see the output as we wish. Yeah, let's pick up a B here. Okay. So you can see here, first of all, we required 4 after the decimal. There are 5, so it is rounded off. So it is 7899. You can see the round off here, right? Okay. And then 3 spaces are here, 3, 4, 5, 3 characters. So 3 are, this is 3. This is 1 is taken up by decimal 4, 4 after the decimal 8. So there are 3 blank spaces here. How you can check whether there are 3 blank spaces? Use a 0 flag here, so 3 zeros will come up there. Okay, I hope understood this fact, right? Same is with this plus also. You can put a plus for a positive number. Negative number, of course, comes with a sign automatically, right? And if you pick up a lesser format, of course, nothing will happen. So if you pick up, say, a format like 5.4, let's see what happens. A normal number is printed. Although 5.4 is not possible, okay, but it corrects it automatically, right? So this is the printing of floating numbers, right? Let's pick up another variable here now, an interesting one. Okay, and let's print it in using the E format. Okay, E is similar to F, but it comes in the scientific notation or the exponential notation. So here the last 4 output digits would be something like this, something like this. These are the 4 characters that would come at the end of the output. So E plus 02 means 10 raised to power 2. So this output would be coming in 10 raised to power 2 sort of thing. So let's see the output here. So it is, you see this decimal here, it's always like this. This decimal here moves to this before 4. So you move the decimal 2 places towards the left, so 10 to the power 2. If you would have moved the decimal to right, it would have been 10 to the power 3. The rest everything is same. 4 spaces taken up by this, 4 after the decimal, that's 8, 1 by the decimal 9, 1 by this 10, and 1 blank. Okay, you can check this 1 blank here. You can check this 1 blank here by seeing this 1 0. Okay, similarly, if we have a very small number, say 0.00, okay, and if we need to print it, okay, let's print this. Okay, let's print it in this format. Okay, 11.4e. So what would be the output? Let's see if you people can suggest. So let's see the output. Yeah, it's e to the minus 0.4 because we have moved the decimal to the right. It's a small number, so you can see the output here. And if I just increase this format here, maybe I can show something to you. Now this will have as many zeros towards the right. So this is how you can print using this exponential or the scientific notation, right? So practice with these things, you will understand it more, right? Okay. Let's now work with some string part, right? Interesting one. Say, let me write this programming in Python. Okay. Pay attention to this. All these things you can work with in C also. Exactly, it's picked up from C language, right? So if we print S, then of course the string is printed. If you use some format here, then what we can do is format S, comma, I can write here 10S. Okay, I can write here 10S. So the entire string would be printed, because what I'm suggesting here is by this 10S is that print in a width of 10, but this width is more. Okay, these characters are more. Okay, so maybe we can check what is this. 21 is the total length of this string. So I'm suggesting 10. So it corrects it automatically. Okay. Similarly, if I make it 24, okay, if I make it 24 here, so obviously we'll have 3 spaces, but towards the right. That means strings by default are left justified. That is, output is inclined towards the left and spaces towards the right. Now 3 spaces are there, but we cannot see it, right? They are there, but we cannot see is because the string is left justified. So I can make it right justified. I can just change it, okay, by using this greater than sign. So now you can see the 3 spaces there. You can put a 0 here maybe to see those 3 spaces, right? This is for strings. Another thing that you can do in strings is you can put like this, say 11.5s. Let's see what it does. So by default left justified. So you're saying a width of 11, listen very carefully, a width of 11 and print only 5 characters. 11.5 means in a total width of 11, print only the 5 characters from the string. So you can see the 5 characters have been printed. There are 6 spaces, but you cannot see. So once again, you can just change it here to see those 6 spaces. These are the 6 spaces now. And you can put a 0 to confirm, right? This is how strings they work, right? I hope this is clear. So this is how you can format the different types of variables in Python, right? Next, let's write a program. So let's write a new program here to print the greater of 2 numbers. I'm writing this program just like this because I understand that you are already aware of the if statement. So I can just input the variable here. Okay, and then I can do something like this. The 2 numbers I've used, A and B, and let's see first one thing, say print A and print B. Like one of the questions asked by the student, if you print these values, right? Okay, then let's see how the program behaves. Enter a number 12. Some problem here. See, the numbers are printed in different lines, right? You see the numbers are printed in different lines. If we want that the number should be printed in the same line itself, we can use the delimiter end here. Okay. Can you see? right? Okay, and the space that is coming between 11 and 22 is whatever space you provide here. Okay. Right. I hope it's clear how this AND works, right? Going ahead, I can also use some if statement here. So if A greater than B, this is how if is written in Python. Just see. We can use parentheses also like we use in C, C++, but it's not mandatory. You can just write it like this. A greater than B. And you put a colon here, automatically an indent will come. You see, I've not done anything here. I just press, if there's no colon, then see where the cursor comes. Okay. But when you write some statements like if or loops, automatically the indent will come. Okay. By default, this indent is coming like this. Okay. So I can write something like print A here. Then I need to write like this and then write like this. So let's check this program. Okay. So 22 is the greater number. So just see how this if is written here. If, then the condition may or may not come in parentheses, right? We must have a colon here. Okay, that is the syntax. The moment you put a colon, an indent will come like this automatically. Then else should be written like this and like this. Okay. All these statements in this if true block, obviously this is the true block, this is the else block, right? If this condition is true, this is executed. If this is false, then whatever is written after else is executed. Okay. So by default it is coming like this, but what is the minimum that you can have it? Only one towards right, one towards the right of if. Okay. Like this. This is the minimum that is required. Automatically, whatever indent comes, it's fine. You should use that. Okay. But even this is okay. Okay. I hope this point is clear, right? Then say automatically if this is the indent, and if we try to do like this, that is in if we pick up that indent, in else we pick up this indent. So let's see what it says here. It's okay with that. Okay. So in one particular block, whether the true or the false, the indent should be the same. For example, if I write here print A and I write here print Ajay, kindly note, okay, this is fine. Both the statements in this if block are in the same intent, okay, right? So this will work again. So if I give it 2211, it will print that both the things, 22 and Ajay. But if I do it like this, okay, different indent, let's see what happens. Okay, so it will give you an error there itself. Okay, so I hope you understand how we need to go about the indent. So I suggest that we pick up the automatic indent that is there. Okay, this is the automatic indent. Otherwise, if you want to give your own indent, then it should be at least one space towards the right of this I. Okay, similarly, this also. Okay, I can use like this. That's perfectly fine. Okay, so this is how you can use the if statement. If statement you are already aware, you've learned it in C, C++. Just see how it is written in Python. Okay. So I think we had a very good discussion today regarding the formatting of the data types, how we can format our output, then how to use input and print statements, how to run our programs in Python. Okay, and then we just started with the if statement also, how to use the if statement, how to give the indents. So I'll be uploading this video on my channel and you should watch it properly and practice the basics of Python, right? So I'm ending this session here today. Thank you very much.